Welcome to today's extensive session on ESG investing. I'm excited to share everything I know about environmental, social, and governance investing with you. I hope you're ready for a deep dive into the principles that are shaping our financial future and how they are directly tied to the choices we make in our portfolios. ESG is not just a buzzword, it's a movement that is reshaping the financial world for good. And it's essential for every investor, whether new or experienced, to understand how these principles can be applied in their own investing strategies. I'm sure by the end of this session, you'll have a comprehensive understanding of ESG and how to incorporate it into your financial planning. If you're just starting out with ESG investing or want to learn how to make more responsible investment choices, stick around for all the detailed insights we're about to share. What is ESG investing? The basics. Let's break down the core idea of ESG investing in depth. ESG investing is about more than just returns. It's about ethical investment choices that align with your values. Investors who follow the ESG framework assess companies based on three criteria: environmental, social, and governance. Let's explore each of these individually and look at their growing importance in today's financial landscape. Environmental E. What does environmental mean in the context of ESG? It's about looking at how companies perform concerning environmental responsibilities. We're not just talking about a company reducing its carbon footprint. We're talking about sustainability, how a company is managing natural resources, and whether its operations lead to pollution or contribute to environmental degradation. Let's explore real-world examples. Consider how Tesla has not only become an industry leader in sustainable transportation, but also how its entire business model revolves around clean energy. On the other hand, large oil companies, which have historically been heavily polluting, are now under intense pressure to reduce their environmental impact, but not all of them are succeeding. We'll also take a look at some of the companies leading the charge in renewable energy, such as NextEra Energy. We will explore how their business model has impacted their stock price and how their long-term focus on environmental issues has turned them into profitable companies with massive growth. Social S. Now let's dive into the social element of ESG investing. Social responsibility is all about the company's relationships with employees, customers, suppliers, and the broader community. It's about ethical labor practices, diversity and inclusion, customer welfare, and how the company treats its community. Take companies like Microsoft, which has focused on diversity and inclusion for decades. Their efforts not only reflect their corporate culture, but have allowed them to build a brand that resonates with a wide customer base. There's also Patagonia, a company known for its environmental activism and fair trade practices. Patagonia's story is a great example of how a company's commitment to social responsibility can actually strengthen its brand, build customer loyalty, and increase long-term profitability. As we move through this section, let's pause and talk about the social impact investing movement, which focuses on how financial decisions can directly influence social change. We'll examine real-life case studies of social investments that led to tangible improvements in education, healthcare, and communities. Governance G. The governance criteria look at how a company is run. Who's in charge? What ethical frameworks are in place? Governance includes leadership practices, shareholder rights, and executive pay. For example, let's explore companies like Johnson & Johnson, which has had a historically solid reputation for corporate governance. But then we'll look at other companies like Enron, where corporate governance was severely lacking, which led to a major scandal. Governance isn't just about transparency. It's about having systems in place to prevent fraud, promote fair treatment of stakeholders, and ensure that corporate decisions are made with integrity. The financial impact of ESG investing. Many skeptics question whether ESG investing can really lead to significant financial returns. I want to spend the next hour discussing the financial impact of ESG investing. Let's take a deep look at research, data, and real-world performance of ESG-focused investments over the past decade. We will look at how ESG-compliant companies tend to weather economic downturns better than their peers. Review the data showing that companies with strong ESG criteria are more likely to outperform their competition in the long term. the low volatility nature of ESG stocks, and how they provide better stability during market crashes. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many ESG-compliant companies, especially those focused on technology, health, and clean energy, performed remarkably well while others struggled. Additionally, I want to highlight some common myths about ESG investing and how the returns compare. The focus will be on debunking misconceptions and showing real numbers to prove that ESG investing can yield significant long-term gains. We'll also discuss some of the risks involved with ESG investing, like greenwashing, where companies claim to be ESG-friendly without actual sustainable practices in place. Why ESG investing matters now more than ever. The world is changing at a rapid pace, and ESG investing has never been more relevant. In this section, we will discuss why ESG investing is critical for the future. With increasing social awareness about climate change, racial inequality, and the importance of corporate governance, we'll explore the role of younger generations in pushing for more responsible investing, how climate change is forcing companies to adapt or lose out on investor capital, the role of global regulations, and how governments are encouraging sustainable business practices. We'll also take a deeper look at how the rise of social media has impacted corporate accountability. Consumers today are demanding more transparency and are actively choosing to support brands that align with their values. The #boycott movements and Me Too campaigns have shown that public perception now plays a significant role in the financial success of businesses. How to get started with ESG investing. Now that we have discussed ESG in depth, let's dive into the practical aspects. How can you get started with ESG investing? I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to incorporate ESG factors into your investment strategy. This session will cover the different types of ESG funds available, ESG mutual funds, ETFs, and ESG-rated stocks, how to evaluate ESG scores and which platforms or services can provide this information, the risk-adjusted returns you should expect and how to measure them. We'll spend time going through online platforms like Morningstar, MSCI, and Sustainalytics, which rate companies based on their ESG performance. And I'll show you how to use these resources to find ESG-friendly stocks and bonds, real-life case studies, and examples. This section will be dedicated to discussing a series of real-life case studies of ESG investing. I'll share stories of how big corporations such as Apple, Amazon, and Google have evolved their approach to ESG investing, and how it's led to increased profitability, consumer trust, and long-term sustainability. We'll also go deeper into small businesses that have implemented ESG principles. For instance, let's look at how small food brands like Blue Diamond Growers and Burt's Bees have used sustainability practices as a core part of their growth strategy and marketing success. Interactive Q&A and audience discussion. At this point in the session, I'll open up the floor to you, the audience. This will be an hour-long interactive Q&A where I will answer all your questions about ESG investing. I'll ask questions like, what barriers do you think exist for people getting into ESG investing? How do you prioritize environmental factors over social ones when choosing investments? Which industries do you believe are most ripe for ESG investing? I want to hear your thoughts and questions so we can have a dynamic discussion and make sure every aspect of ESG investing is clear. Final thoughts, summary, and wrap-up. Thank you so much for your attention today. We've covered an extensive amount of information on ESG investing, from the basics to more advanced strategies. As we wrap up, I want to remind you that ESG investing is about more than just financial growth. It's about aligning your investments with your values and contributing to a better, more sustainable world. Whether you are just starting or have been investing for years, incorporating ESG principles into your strategy can benefit both you and the planet. Please make sure to subscribe and share your feedback. And if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. Thank you once again, and see you next time.